Hello, everyone. Today I have with me a fantastic lady. Her name is Julie, and I'm not going to spoil anything because you know what? She's going to be able to talk about herself a whole lot more than I can, or a whole lot better than I can. What I will share is that she does a tremendous job at a place called the Lending Cupboard. And you know what, Julie? What or lending place? Sorry, I was wrong. Uh, what exactly is your role in the lending place?
So officially, I am the office coordinator. So when we initially set the organization up, it became pretty clear. And I remember one of the board members, Chad, and I going to the president and going, "You need somebody that's gonna, like, you need a person. You're gonna have to, you need one person." And so then I kind of voluntold myself and said I would um, help with the setup and the running, the day-to-day running of the organization, which has become a big job. Really, like it's went from being a small thing that was going to be very part-time to being, it's a lot. So it means that we hit the mark and that there was a real need in the community for the service, and people are very, very appreciative. And so that's kind of how I ended up. So I've officially office coordinator. So I think I said to Erhard, when I said I'm writing grants and I'm doing all the books, and I feel like we have to change the title, but I don't think we should get too hung up on those kinds of things.
Well, more like Jill of all trades, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, so exactly how did the lending place get started?
So I think initially in the very beginning, and I know you've interviewed Jane, like that all had an idea, and Jack had needed equipment and was able to borrow equipment from the lending cupboard in Red Deer. And she just got very excited and said, "We need this here." And we started doing research. So I was around in those early days and driving to Calgary and touring Red Deer, and many of the different board members have been to Wetaskiwin, to the Mediland. Like there are other organizations that have done this kind of work, and just assessing the need and doing the preliminary. So understanding too. I think we're really quick to critique systems, and I think we have to understand them first. So yes, are our systems perfect? They most certainly are not. But how do we, if you don't understand it, how do you fill the gap and how do you fill the need? So some of our best partnerships right now are with Alberta Health, and they've really gone to bat for us and helped us find funding and all those things. So um, and even in the beginning, we met with them. We knew that home care had a need. We knew that this was something that they used to do that it got too much, right? And as more and more people are aging, it's not where you want to spend your hours cleaning equipment or
Absolutely.
organizing it. I find the organizing of it takes much longer than the cleaning some days.
Well, what year did you get started? And the reason I'm asking, I had a stroke in 2020, and my husband had to go to Edmonton, uh, which is like, I mean, a little an hour to pick up what I needed. So what was your startup?
So we've had people donate equipment prior to our actual starting, and it was stored in sheds, and but like there is a safety and a health component to what we do. So it was important to me that we be set up and be able to clean the equipment properly and to have it safety checked and those kinds of things. So, but we officially opened our doors to the public on January 25th of 2024. And so we're having a birthday party very soon on the 24th. So
I
we are one.
had not realized it was that new. Wow. And I mean, so okay, I know that I would have made use of equipment, but who else makes use of equipment? Not only people who have strokes. Am I right?
Yeah, so it's quite incredible. So, like, you deal with everything from palliative to a kid who fell and broke his leg, right? So, literally from 80 to 8 months, like, we had a baby who borrowed a IV pole in order to go home because they needed that for at home. So, it really spans generations, and like, there are all sorts of ailments. Some are temporary, some are permanent. Um, and people are just getting their hip done. That's a 6 week recovery, right? With 4 or 5 pieces of equipment, or a knee, or having heart surgery, you need a walker. Like, there are so many. I have people with MS, or just a slip and fall. So, we had a young man with an infection in his bone, like all of those kinds of things things that you wouldn't think of too.
Yeah.
Those are the kinds of things that people are experiencing, and then they have a place to go to pick up their equipment.
Well, you said that in the early days before you were formally kind of got everything together, like even Forrest, who was also on a previous broadcast, and he has tours in Daysland. Well, his address is Daysland, but I mean, it was part of it in his garage and so on. Am I right?
Yeah. So the people in the beginning, people were like, there was a story done in the booster, and people were giving us like, I remember picking up and had in my garage for a while too, like a little electric wheelchair, or um, bath stools, or and because people are done with the stuff and now they don't know what to do with it, right? And so I think that there was equipment living in my garage, and in Jane's garage, and in Forrest's garage, and eventually there was a storage unit, and the storage unit turned into the um, movement over to the living community in the very, very beginning. And so the equipment was there at one point too, until we had that fixed permanent place where we could where the stuff was going to be. But
Well, and it's a lot easier to keep track of what you have when it's all in one place, when you're not, hey, wait a minute, so and so. Do you have something over there? Yes.
well,
Uh,
and the problem with, yeah, keeping it in places like that is too, like, you still do have to clean it, and you do have to make sure it's clean to up to standard, and it has to be sanitized, and it has, like, those kinds of things are harder to control if it's here and there and in somebody's garage. So um, that's why having it in a central location, and that's why for some of our biggest fans are the home care people, who now, all that stuff that was in Daysland and in Tovield and here and there and all these little rural communities. And now it's all centralized. There is still challenges, right? The challenge of how do we get the equipment to the people, and the challenge of maybe we get too much of something sometimes, because we still do have a semi trailer full of walkers off site. So, but yeah, the challenges will always be there, but it's just how you meet them.
And so you lend out a lot of different types of equipment. Do you charge for it?
There's no charge. So we have sometimes we get things in that we just think that there's no way to lend that to someone, a scooter or an electric wheelchair, and those items just get they'll be sold, and then that money goes back in to buy parts for other equipment that can be lent, because there is a lend component to things. So um, that you need to try to stay in that 90-day range. And if people need long-term or permanent help, then we try to direct them to those resources that can help them on a long-term basis. So
I just had a thought, and this is totally personal question. I when I finally got a wheelchair, um, oh, I don't know, about a year after I got home, oh, government wheels turn so slowly. But there's a little piece that broke off. Would you also repair parts or have parts or ability to get parts?
we have we're pretty good at salvaging parts. So but we tend to try to use them for repairing our own equipment. Um, I think to I think that's would be fabulous to have a person just in the house that was just repairing and could repair things for people. I think that would be amazing. And then for a donation or for whatever, but we're pretty baby yet, so we haven't found that. We do have some potentials. We have a few potentials, but if we had that committed volunteer that was willing to do that, for sure. And then it's always about budget, because if you had enough money, would you hire someone that could do that? Yeah, that'd be
Oh,
great.
and so right now, do you have any paid staff at all?
Just me. So I'm the only person that gets paid. Yeah.
And knowing you, you probably work for a lot less than what you're paid for, because if you're like a lot of people, uh, you get paid for X amount of hours, and the time you spend is probably a lot more.
Yeah, and I don't think you can really like they did in the beginning we said we would um so I was just getting a certain amount every month, and that we would just do it sort of as a contract for a couple months until we got rolling, which took us a year. So now officially I'm on the payroll, so I have my Revenue Canada RP account, and so we've managed to do that. And Earhart has worked really hard to find more funding so that that people can be paid, and not just me, that we might be able to hire someone to do some work with cleaning and repairing of equipment. So that would be nice too.
Well, the cleaning itself is actually a big task. Like I worked in CSR in a hospital. So, yeah, I know you need to be pretty
It's
um
it's like your laundry when you have 5 kids. It's never done, right? Like so you think,
that's right.
"Ooh, the shed is getting really empty and we're just about caught up," and then 5 people will bring equipment back, and it's very disappointing. Or
Or-
the worst is when you pull up to the door first thing in the morning and someone has actually dropped off a pile of equipment and it's in front of the door.
oh,
Because then you're like, oh, well, now I'm behind again.
wow. So, how long can people use borrow the equipment for?
So our borrow time is 90 days. And we're pretty loosey goosey with that. So if you have a piece of, and we have this happen all the time, people will have a particular piece of equipment and they still have another few weeks of recovery. Then we just say, oh, just keep it until whatever. If people have, it is meant to be a gap filler. So if you have a permanent disability and you've applied for aids to daily living and you're waiting for your permanent chair that is fitted specifically to you, like sometimes that takes more than 90 days, as you know, the wheels of government sometimes turn slowly. So although I feel like they've improved lately, like I feel like it's the
I
turnaround
hope,
is
no, I certainly hope so. I waited at least a year for my
yeah.
wheelchair. Uh, and of course, there were a dozen excuses and COVID, etc., which may have had a point, but sometimes I think that was also a good cover story, right? But
Well, I think it became the reason for, right, some of the changes that we've experienced. Um, we uh, we did we do have lots of people donate stuff, like, so we have had wheelchairs donated, and like one little wheelchair came in, and it was not like, it was kind of hither and thither, and we got it all cleaned up. So then I texted the lady a picture of it. I said, "Look at your little wheelchair, how nice he looks now." And she just laughed. She said, "Oh my goodness." But like, this was a child's wheelchair and the child had grown, and so then it gets put in a garage or put out in a shed, and then what do you do with it? Or you buy something for someone, they pass away, then the chair is just pushed off to the side, and then what do you do with it? And same thing for like hospital beds or walkers, or, and so now I think what's happened is people have went, oh, there's a place now we can.
that's
And
great.
so I do get told quite often, "Well, I just learned about you guys." I mean, it's very discouraging because we try really hard. So we have a website, we have a Facebook page, we try to get our information out there. Um, but people still are learning about us, and so word of mouth.
Well, perhaps when this video gets up and posted, you in the comments, could you please put in the web page, the Facebook, all that. And while we're talking about putting it out there, I'm thinking about funding. You get your funding, you can sell a few items, which is good. That doesn't cover the entire cost. I guarantee.
Yeah, we're very fortunate, I would say, that we live in a place where people are pretty generous. Like, so we do get individual donations, and people that are appreciative, or even people that said, I would have had to go buy all that stuff, and I could have afforded it, and but I didn't have to. And now the equipment went out, came back, and they'll just, like, I've seen people just drop $50 in the donation box, or we have interact machines, and so we've been really fortunate. Christmas was lovely. Like, we had really great support from other community groups, and I think that will only grow. I do think that where we fall apart a little bit is in our corporate sponsorship. I think that we need to work harder at reaching organizations and helping them understand what we do and how we support them, i.e., their workers or workers that have worked for them for years. So I think we have to work a little harder on our our corporations.
Uh,
And we have had support from businesses. Like, I'm thinking UFA gave us a kicking good deal on the timbers that went under the sea cans. The sea cans were donated by local business people. The Home Hardware has been great in their discounting of things for us, and on and on. But yeah, it would be good to have corporate partners. That's what I'm looking for.
and,
Corporate partners. And I
and
think they're out there. Yeah.
so where exactly are you located?
Well, this is the most commonly asked question, Jocelyn. How do I find you? So we're at 4702 44th Street. Um, we are right across the street from the Camrose Railway Museum, which is right along the tracks. And anybody that knows Glennis and Earhart or the work that they've done, that she's done with the gardens there, we're right across the street in the bright blue building, is what I tell people. Come to the big doors at the back. So we, if you're coming from the east, right after you go under the train bridge, you take a left. If you're coming from the west, take a right at the bright red Camrose glass building, and we're right at the end of the road. So those are my well rehearsed instructions on how to find us. We do have occasionally clients that are out of town and out in the country that don't have a way to us and don't have family that can come and get the equipment. So that's still a challenge, and that's still something that we're working on and talking about. And down the road, for sure, we want to be able to make sure that everybody can get what they need.
Well, you're a work in progress. And when you think of where you were and where you are now, you've accomplished an awful.
Yes.
Wow.
Our president says, he's said, I was just laid in bed thinking about a new building. He's building a new building.
So who is
So
your president?
Earhart Pino. So anybody that's worked with Habitat, or oh my goodness, he's been in Kidney Foundation. He has done a lot of fundraising and a lot of community work. He was with the university for quite a few years. So yeah, lots of people know who he is. But I think this is one of our greatest assets is that we have a board that's engaged. We have volunteers that are committed. We, like he's supportive and positive always when he comes through the door, and he's like that's what you need, right?
It is. It's
Yeah.
uplifting. And
Yeah.
for me, I enjoy working with people like that because it's almost a passion rather than, oh, I gotta do this sort of thing.
Right. Yeah. They don't, they're there because they wanted to, they think it's important for the community, right? And it's community driven. I really believe that we have to stop complaining about all and stop waiting for other people to solve our problems. And I think that a lot of the big problems need to be solved at a community level because we've very clearly understood that they're not going to be solved at any other level. So let's put aside all of our differences and all the political rhetoric and roll up our sleeves and get to work, and let's figure it out, because I think there are solutions out there. But I do believe we need to work together, and I think that's just what I think. And that rest of it will figure itself out.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. Just before we wrap up, is there, oh, I know. I remember Jane mentioning Morris and Hazel from Red Deer. They were involved in the early days as well. Am I correct?
Yeah, I think they were like the ones that really plugged us into the lending cupboard, and we really modeled after the lending cupboard. So we're not there yet for sure, because that's a pretty solid and big organization. But I think that having that example makes it easier to start, right? You have a place to start. You kind of have an idea of where you want to go and what's possible. I remember the first time I went there and looking at the raised toilet seats, and I just thought, how is that? That's crazy. And they're all a little different. And, and which one fits on which toilet,
You don't realize until you need one that, oh my goodness, you mean there's that many different kinds?
Of
Oh,
everything. Everything has, and every little piece of equipment is just a little different. And so it's been a real learning curve. Like I work the service industry. I said to Earhart, the people, that's the easy part for me. I can do people all day long. I like that. That's fun for me. But I had to really buckle down and really start to like read all the stuff. Like Glennis did a lot of work. Glennis Smith, who she did all the research on all the different equipment and how do you use it and how do you hook it up, and you tie an M rail under the box spring, not under the mattress. And then I thought to hook example videos, and then we were looking, and I thought that guy on YouTube isn't doing it right. We got to send Glennis to him. So you have to be a little bit careful. Red Cross does have great learning videos, so they were pretty solid. So we try.
yes.
We're still working on that. I've also been really fortunate in that I have a great social media person that has built our website and really been instrumental on that end of it. And he's always got great ideas. So
Well, I just got a notice that tells me I'm running out of time. Julie, thank you very much.
oh,
I
you're welcome.
I really enjoyed meeting you. Hey, no, I've got 2 more minutes. I really enjoyed meeting you at the brain conference. That was awesome. Anyway, you take care and hopefully
Yes, and I will put those links in the into the chat, or
awesome.
I'll just
And it
okay.
might take me a bit, but I will get it today. Take
Okay,
Thanks, everybody. Please like, subscribe, and please share. We want to get the videos out there. Take care. Thank you. Bye bye.
bye.